What's up guys? Part 5, Autococker Build 3019. This is the video where we're gonna see this whole gun put together finally. But first, a bit of a recap. I'm picking out a body. I want something that kind of reflects that old stuff and helps me remember the good old days of autocockers. So that's why I reached out to Meteor Paintball to get this M1 autococker body. So the Meteor body has that look that I like, but they're also made exceptionally well. They're made from very high quality materials, and there has been meticulous attention to detail when making these things. Vertical reg adapter, back block, front block, and bolt pin are all going to be Meteor. Mainly, like I said, because I really like the quality. Stuff's made very, very well. And then it kind of fits the overall motif of the gun, right? So like the vertical reg adapter has those lines around it. The bolt pin have those lines around it. So it kind of like, goes together well. Bolt pin stainless steel, so it just feels really nice. And then the feed neck, I am going to use the Planet Eclipse low rise feed neck. So this is going to be the same feed neck that we're seeing on Planet Eclipse's new guns, like the CS2 or LV 1.5. So a long time ago, autocockers came with a lighter weight hammer. Upgrading to this heavier hammer allows you to reduce the operating pressure a little bit. That heavier hammer can just leave the valve open a little bit longer, allowing more air out, but at a lower pressure. So that heavier hammer allows for a lower operating pressure versus just a standard lighter weight hammer, I guess. And there's two cool new features, or like neat features, I should say, with the Inception Design hammer. There are two locking set screws. There's one to lock the lug down, and then there is one to lock the cocking rod in place. And we're going with the Meteor F1 high flow cup seal and valve. And they're just good. It's a good valve. It's high flowing, has a bunch of volume. So it means that we should have a quick response time in terms of velocity, and then probably a little bit more flow, or volume, I should say, so we can get a lower operating pressure. And then in front of the valve guide spring, or the spring on the cup seal, is Meteor's red chamber. It comes out really easy. You really just remove those two screws, or that vertical reg adapter screw like we're doing right here, and the whole thing just slides out the front. It's kind of neat. It's really handy to be able to remove all of the internals super quick like that. Picking the front pneumatics, they're really the most important part of the gun. It's what's moving around and kind of getting the most action. I wanted to make sure we went with something very good and reliable. So Inception Design kind of, I felt, was an obvious choice. Planet Eclipse pops on off. They're just very, very good on offs. They're built well, they're super durable. The pops on off mechanism, how you kind of just pop it forward and pop it back, I really like. Just makes it super clean and super easy. The CP, or custom products, inline regulators, and they're just very, very good regs. They're kind of just known for being super durable, reliable, pretty easy to rebuild, and CP have been around for really like 20 years making these regulators. So to me, it was kind of a no-brainer to go with a CP reg. And then the trigger frame, and like you kind of probably already saw it, we are going to go with the Meteor classic autococker trigger frame, and I like it. It's just made really well, kind of clips or fits that classic motif that we kind of have already going with that M1 frame. And I like it because the finish is the same. And getting paintballs downrange is going to be the Planet Eclipse FL barrel kit. It's going to be the full kit, so we're going to have 4 of the barrel backs and the tip. So we've got all our parts. We have the Meteor body and frame, the Inception Design pneumatics and internals, a couple of things from Planet Eclipse like the FL barrel's feed neck and that pops on off. But finally, let's just see it all together. So overall, I am very happy. I really like the way this thing turned out. If you missed last week, you would have seen that I did not include that trigger shoe, but now we do have that brass trigger shoe on there. I'm a big fan of the color. I really like that gray and black, those muted, kind of like more subdued tones. There's some stainless steel stuff on here. I mean, we're finding like the grip screws are stainless steel, some screws on the feed neck are stainless steel, and like the bolt pin are stainless steel. I think that brass trigger shoe just kind of makes the whole thing pop and look really good. So I'm a fan. Those colors and then that brass trigger shoe just kind of make it all look cool. So I figured in this video I would like talk about some things I don't like about the build, and then things I do like. So the first thing I don't like, I talked about in the last video, is kind of just how the finishes don't match up. How the pneumatics, say, are obviously going to be a different finish than the body. That body has that dust finish, and then the pneumatics are, polished. I don't really like that. I kind of wish the whole gun was polished or the whole gun was dust. And you can even see that where parts are from different manufacturers, but still the same finish. Like the frame is a little bit different finish than the on-off from Planet Eclipse, but still both of them are dust. The only real way to make all of these parts match perfectly, like say match them all to be dust or all to be polished, would to make them all polished and just leaving them polished, or polishing them all individually and then making them dust. So the reason those two dust parts are a little bit different is because they're made by different manufacturers. So when we make these parts dust, you take that aluminum, give it a little bit of polish, and then with compressed air, blast it with a media. Typically that media is going to be baking soda, or you can use something really abrasive like walnut shells or even sand to make that dust or matte finish on that part. And then just different abrasive materials, or say you blast it a little bit longer, is going to give a different finish. So it's really impossible to get these dust parts or even polished parts to match up from manufacturer to manufacturer. That's why we'd have to disassemble the whole gun, polish it, and then finish off those parts. So I'm just picky, and I kind of wish that it was all the same finish, but really not a big deal. The other thing that I probably could have done better was maybe made the trigger internals a little bit better. We could have gone with like a higher end, nicer trigger plate, like say the AKA trigger plate, or gone for a roller sear like from ShockTech. Having both of those parts might make the trigger a little bit lighter, make it a little bit snappier, and maybe make the trigger feel a little bit quicker. I don't really care. I am perfectly fine with the internals I picked, and the trigger feels really good. It's lightweight, easy to pull, and overall I'm happy with the trigger, but yeah, could have went with some nicer stuff. Those are really the only two things that I could have done better maybe, or I don't like. I do like a lot though how the thing feels in my hands. I'm a big fan of these trigger frames and the grips. It just feels very, very nice. Along with that brass trigger shoe, the brass trigger shoe just feels nice. It's very, very smooth. This one's for sure very used, so it just feels really nice. The one thing that I'm really not a fan of though is the overall length. I'm typically liking these longer, stretched out paintball guns, so having this more compact, I'm gonna grab it real quick. It's just right over there. Okay, so there it is. Yeah, you can see that it's a little bit more compact, so it does have that more compact feel, which is really typical for autocockers. So that distance from the back of the trigger frame to the front of the foregrip is a little bit shorter than we're seeing on some of these more modern guns. I typically like that longer feel, but with the autococker, I don't know, it kind of just, I like that smaller feel. It just reminds me of what they used to be like. If you do like autocockers, but maybe you want that more stretched out modern feel, there are guns out there, right? Like Inception Design makes the retro cockers, or some other guns that have that longer stretched out body. That's gonna fit, or be a little bit more modernish. I'm also happy that I went with just a standard autococker frame. Originally I was gonna go with the ShockTech Gunfighter frame. That Gunfighter frame is really designed to shoot very fast, hence Gunfighter. You wanna be able to shoot a bunch of paint so you can win gunfights. And it has a bunch of like levers and action arms and lever, a bunch of arms and levers and stuff going on the inside to just make it have a shorter trigger pull. I'm actually happy I went with that classic Meteor frame just because I want that simple, just basic, regular autococker. And the Meteor frames just are basic autococker frames. They're not all fancy and crazy like the ShockTech Gunfighter frame. The Gunfighter frame is amazing though, like it's really cool. I think the thing's very impressive. It's just not for me. And then keeping this thing all together is gonna be the Exalt XL marker case. So Exalt have two sizes in this, the XL, and that regular one. The XL one is designed to hold larger paintball guns like this Autococker, Automags, pump guns, or just big guns. So we open this thing up, there is Autococker. So there's a couple sides to this thing. You can see that side, we flip this over, there is all of those barrels in there, all those FL barrels, and we can flip it over again, open one more zipper, and on the other side of this, there's another compartment to hold another paintball gun. And again, all microfiber lined, just like the other side, to keep your gun all nice. You can see those extra pockets in there to put like Allen wrenches, oil, grease, whatever you want to put in there. Without question, the best marker case you can buy. So this last video really was just to show you guys the parts we used, put the whole thing together, show the actual gun off, and then talk a little bit about the things I like, didn't like, maybe some things I could have changed, and some things I'm glad I changed. The one thing I did not do though was talk about timing, building, and just making the cocker work. I will be doing that in a separate video in 1 week, this Wednesday, May 29th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come back to this YouTube channel, 12 p.m. PST, 29 May. Yep.